Evening's regular meeting of the City Council. The City Council sitting as the Library Board of Trustees, the Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, and Victorville Water District, and City Council performing the housing functions of the former Victorville Redevelopment Agency. 5 o'clock meeting is being canceled. There is no need to take action on the items, and accordingly, we do not have a quorum, so the 5 o'clock meeting is canceled. The 7 o'clock meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, is on and will occur as scheduled per the agenda. Excellent.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville, and the City Council sitting as the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the City Council performing the housing functions of the former Victorville Redevelopment Agency. At this time, we'll have any announcement out of closed session.
Thank you, Mayor McEachran. The 5 o'clock meeting was actually canceled. We didn't have a need to go into closed session, so we canceled, and there was no quorum at that point, so there was no business at 5 o'clock.
All right, now we'll go into our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, our invocation is going to be led by our newly elected council member, Gloria Garcia, and our Pledge of Allegiance by the Victorville Explorers. So if you'd all please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity that you give us to unite this evening in harmony and make us receptive to whatever our city officials bring before us. This we ask in your name, and all for the better of our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm sure many of you here tonight agree with me that the Spice of Life event was a great success, and tonight I'd like to acknowledge the volunteers who played a vital role in putting the Spice of Life event together. The event committee members, and I have certificates for all of them up here. Liz Becerra, Yamila Bell Gomez. Willie Cockrell. Dr. Robert Gaines. Christian Gunter. Thomas Lee. Monica Peterson. We'll let you stay there, Monica. Veronica Trio. Becky Wasserman. Latanya Watson. And Joe Sicaro.
It's a wide angle.
Now I'd like to invite up the Victorville Police Explorers and San Bernardino County Fire Explorers, if they could all come up here. Victorville Police Explorers assisted with the entry and location of vendor booths. San Bernardino County Fire Explorers toured children around the fire truck, and they demonstrated the fire hose. So I do.
How old do you have to be an explorer? Oh, you're going by
Joe, are you a member of the Explorers?
He's 14.
All right, so here's for the Victorville Police Explorers. How old are you?
They're going by height. They don't go by age anymore.
And I'd like to ask the director of the Victor Valley Rescue Mission, Mr. Ron Wilson, to join me up front here. Great story in the paper about you. On behalf of the City of Victorville and Spice of Life Volunteer Committee, I'd like to present Mr. Ron Wilson with a check. Well, let me find that check. Any check's big, right? That's right. For $300. That is not from taxpayer dollars. That's just money raised through the event and donated to Victor Valley Rescue Mission. Spice of Life Committee and volunteers all voted to share a portion of the sponsorships they raised with volunteers from the Victor Valley Rescue Mission for their hard work throughout the event, from monitoring trash and recycling bins, general assistance, and for providing information and assistance to the public throughout the entire event. So thank you to you and your organization for everything you did for that event. Yeah, come on, bring him down. Got a certificate for you as well.
I would like to thank the Spice of Life Committee for your work this year. The coordination, of course, our rescue mission organization that helped tremendously, but the committee members, and very especially Becky from our Community Services Department, who really did all the administrative work that was necessary to carry out this program. So after 11 years with Spice of Life Committee, I once again thank you for all your great work and for all the years that you served. Thank you.
All right, at this time we'll have our city clerk present the agenda to the council.
The City Council of the City of Victorville welcomes the public's participation in tonight's meeting. It is requested that all present please silence cell phones, pagers, and other electronic devices, and that personal conversations be kept to a minimum during the conduct of the meeting. Persons who wish to address the council on a specific item which appears on the agenda are requested to complete one of the white speaker cards that have been placed on the agenda table in the council chambers lobby and give it to the city clerk for the record prior to consideration of the item. The mayor will also call upon each individual who has submitted a speaker card when the item comes up for discussion by the city council. The public comment period is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on any item within their jurisdiction that is not on the agenda. It is requested that a speaker card also be submitted to the city clerk for anyone who wishes to address the city council during the public comment period. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the city council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The city council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker or less, as deemed necessary by the mayor, depending upon the number of individuals desiring to speak. All communications are to be addressed directly to the city council. Individual comments to staff or members of the audience are not permitted. Individuals who fail to adhere to these guidelines may be asked to yield the floor. Any individual or group who engages in disruptive conduct during the meeting will be removed from the council chambers by order of the court. Disruptive conduct includes, but is not limited to, addressing the council without being recognized, not addressing the subject before the council, repetitiously addressing the same subject, failing to relinquish the podium when requested to do so, verbal outbursts or comments from the audience. Thank you for your cooperation and adherence to these rules. All documents to be considered for approval at this meeting are before the council, and the city attorney will describe the revisions to the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Mayor McEachran. We have revisions. We are pulling items number 5, 10, 12, and 20. These are all the conflict of interest codes. The reason we're pulling them is they are not technically correct. I want to make some technical corrections, and we'll bring them back to you on the December 18th meeting.
All right, with that, we'll move into the first item on our agenda. That's public comment. I have one card in front of me. Frank Atkins.
Good evening, Council. Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Atkins. I reside in the city of Victorville. I wanted to thank you all for your kindness during the campaign and since, and our new council members. I see there are a couple of them there behind me here, Gloria and Jim Cox. And so I'm looking forward to what the future holds up here in the city council. I hope at these meetings in the future we'll see a lot more harmony, moving forward, putting the will of the people, and just doing good for the people of Victorville. And for this Thanksgiving, I understand there's an event tomorrow evening, I guess, is a dinner for any of those people that need food. I think, Angela, are you volunteering there? And maybe could share before tonight's through a little bit to make sure we get everybody that might need a meal to be invited there. And then Thursday, Barbara Powers at the church, what's Assembly of God will also be having free meals for people. So I just wanted to make sure that hopefully everybody for Thanksgiving has a nice Thanksgiving and a warm meal with family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. All right, that was all the cards I had under public comment. Anyone else wishing to address the council under public comment? All right, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and move into the rest of our agenda. We do have the Library Board of Trustees. We have a consent calendar, agenda item number 4.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Councilmember Valles. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Under the Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, there were no items at time of posting. Under the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, agenda item number 5 has been pulled. Move on to agenda item number 6. This is a request to accept a modification to the existing military construction agreement for a net increased amount of $17,906.79.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Agenda item number 7, which is a companion to successor agency to the RDA item number 8. This is a request to approve, 1, that the City of Victorville, acting as a successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, adopts the successor agency budget for July 1st through December 31st, 2012, as it relates to the Victor Valley VITA project area, and 2, that the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority adopts the related December 2012 debt service budget.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Valles voting no.
All right, successor agency to the RDA, agenda item number 8 has been dealt with in the previous item, agenda item number 9, which is a companion to the City Council performing the housing functions of the former RDA, item number 18. This is a request to adopt resolution R-SA-12-006, resolution of the successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency approving certain actions related to the transfer of real property, housing assets, and other housing assets, and obligations of the successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency to the Victorville Housing Trust pursuant to Health and Safety Code Section 34176 and City Council of the City of Victorville Resolution number 12-007 and 12-008, adopted January 17, 2012.
Just a question on this. We're transferring these assets to the Victorville Housing Trust, but we haven't actually changed the name yet to the Victorville Housing Trust.
That's basically being established in the same resolution.
It's the companion resolution.
Right, and this is being done essentially for compliance with the administrative requirements of AB 26 as modified by AB 1484, the budget bills, State of California, so we can make life a lot simpler and be able to transact business and essentially help title companies help us transact business as well.
Let me add some little bit of additional clarification. This item is actually in advance of item number 16, and item number 16, as I understand it, is the item that actually creates the housing trust. And if you were to take the items in companion, they might make a little bit more sense in that technically you'll have the Victorville Housing Trust established first. Not sure it's absolutely necessary, as the item that's item number 9 is basically just an approval of a transfer and an approval of an acceptance given the two entities involved. But largely what this is dealing with in the larger picture is as a part of the whole dissolution process, housing assets have been determined to be made available for local use at the city level through either of the entities, and effectively those assets can be used and dissolved for purposes of furthering affordable housing. So effectively, the $34,985,000 represents what is a book value of those various assets. It could be both physical or real property that comprises that number. But that's effectively a number then that would get transferred to the Victorville Housing Trust, which we've established as a name, as an entity, to help more clearly define the difference between the city's responsibility and your role serving in the housing trust capacity. So it's to help partly clear some liability, but more importantly, it's becoming very difficult to handle all the vestings in the titles, in the naming of titles when we actually sign grant deeds and things like that.
But it would be appropriate to consider item 16 at the same time with these two other items.
All right, then with respect to item number 16, we'll add that with to agenda item number 9 as well as agenda item number 18. Agenda item number 16, which is a request to adopt resolution number R-HF-12-002. This is a resolution of the City of Victorville performing the housing functions of the former Victorville Redevelopment Agency pursuant to Health and Safety Code Section 34176, subsection A, to formally and legally be known as the Victorville Housing Trust. So we will handle all three items at the same time.
Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Valles voting no.
All right, agenda item number 10 has been pulled. Under the Victorville Water District, we do have the consent calendar.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Under the Victorville Water District and written communications, again, agenda item number 12 has been pulled. Agenda item number 13 is request to adopt resolution VWD-12-009. This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Victorville Water District establishing and adopting the annual appropriations limit for fiscal year 2012-2013.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Agenda item number 14, this is a request to approve amendment number 1 to the Coughlin Road Cooperative Agreement number 12-289 with San Bernardino County, increasing the City of Victorville's city maximum financial participation from $25,000 to $40,000.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Moving on to the City Council performing housing functions of the former RDA, we do have agenda item number 15, the consent calendar.
Second, please. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriales, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Vise voting no.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 17. This is a request to adopt resolution R-HF-12-003. This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Victorville Housing Trust authorizing the Economic Development Administrator to execute all necessary documents and take all actions necessary and convenient to carry out and implement the rights, duties, and obligations of the Victorville Housing Trust under Part 1.85 of Division 24 of the Health and Safety Code.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, just to raise attention to this item was put on the agenda largely to make it more efficient for the execution of the documents. Particularly, I'd like to recognize that the Economic Development Administrator is Ms. Sophie Escobar. Prior to this resolution, I have been serving as the signer on documents, and we've experienced an inefficiency with my office primarily being located here at City Hall and Ms. Escobar's being at the airport. So this helps facilitate and make it easier to get documents done timely and done when necessary.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriolas, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Valles voting no.
All right, agenda item number 18 has already been dealt with. Moving on to the City Council, we do have a consent calendar. I would like to pull item O2. Anyone else wishing to pull any items off the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull check number 712350, check number 712603, check number 713712.
Under which item?
A, warrants, commercial warrants.
All right, anyone else wishing to pull any items off of consent? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar minus those items.
Motion by Councilmember Valles, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
All right, we'll now hear agenda item number 19A and specific to those check numbers, Ms. Valles, that you pulled.
These checks are to our city attorney's law firm in the amount of $130,000, plus there's additional checks on there that I think he's way overpaid.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriolas. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Valles voting no. That was O, was it 1 or 2?
O2.
Okay.
Yeah. This is an ordinance number 2296. An ordinance of the City of Victorville approving the zone change portion of PLN 12-0018 to reclassify property from R-1T, single-family residential transitional, to C2 General Commercial with a negative declaration on property generally located at the southwest corner of Mason Street and Cobalt Road, City of Victorville, and Dan Tate.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is just the second reading of the ordinance. Previously, Mayor McEachran indicated that he had a conflict of interest. Council Member Baez previously indicated that she received contributions, but that in and of itself did not give rise to a conflict of interest.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Councilmember Baez. Motion carries with Mayor McEachran absent and Councilmember Rothschild absent. Okay, we're not going there.
All right, agenda item number 20 has been pulled, so we'll move on to agenda item number 21. This is a request that the council take the following actions regarding tracks 16720 and 16887-2. 1, enter into a lien agreement with Prime A Investments LLC as security for the improvements required by section 17.64.060 subsection D2 of the Victorville Municipal Code. And 2, assign all associated fees and deposits in accordance with VMC 17.64.060 subsection D5, and 8 from the Mulberry Investments LLC to Prime A Investments LLC, and 3, release the existing lien agreement with Mulberry Investments LLC.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriolas, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent.
Mr. Robertson, before we get into agenda item number 22, could you inform the council as to the temporary staffing agencies that were involved in this process? I may have a conflict.
Yes, it was account temps, industrial clerical recruitments, ICR, and manpower.
All right, due to ICR being involved in this, I will recuse myself.
Item 22 is a request to approve salaries for temporary staff in Administrative Services Department to 3 local temporary agencies in the amount of $86,000.
Motion by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabriolas.
I have a question. Wouldn't this be just under your authority to hire temps if you need to?
We were using basically my authority to hire these temps using multiple companies, all local. And ultimately, it rose to the level that was higher than my authority, which is $25,000. That's why it came back to the council. It was, in all honesty, with apologies to the council for having a relatively short agenda item that lacks detail, something that we noticed literally at the last minute, and not having another council meeting with a full agenda until December 18th, we felt that we would likely exceed my authority and wanted to get it to you guys. So, but essentially, that's exactly what's happened. It just simply, we've had the temps a little bit longer than we expected originally, so we want to keep them going because we've greatly improved the customer service levels for the water district.
And hiring these temps, you're obviously saving on benefits, so it's to the advantage to use temp agencies rather than have permanent employees, correct?
It is at this point. We're actually in the middle of a recruitment now. The job flew, I think, yesterday to replace a couple of customer service representatives who had left the city some time ago, and theoretically, we should get the system to a point and the staff to a point and the public to a point that we need less of them, and that's the other reason why we went with temps in this instance.
Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Mayor McEachran absent.
Agenda item number 23, this is a request to approve the execution of the settlement agreement and mutual release between the city and Carter and Burgess, Inc., now Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc., memorializing the terms agreed upon by all parties subject to any final non-substantive changes deemed necessary by the city manager and legal counsel.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera, second by Councilmember Kennedy. Motion carries with Councilmember Rothschild absent and Councilmember Vise voting no.
All right, we'll now move into council committee reports. Ms. Vise?
On VVTA, we made, which is the Victor Valley Transit Authority, we made permanent the route to Fort Irwin, and it was doing very well, and it's constantly full. So we thought it was a good thing. So we made that permanent. And also in our next upcoming meeting, we're looking at possibly adopting a salary survey. So that's what's going on.
Just to advise everybody, the audit is underway. As chair of the audit committee, I've had some initial communications with the partner on the engagement, and it's moving along on the planned schedule.
All right, thank you. I have nothing under the council committee reports. Agenda item number 25, this is discussion and possible action regarding items for the upcoming city council agenda. Based upon the fact that we're going to have a new council before anything ever gets here, I would suggest that we hold off on this. Are we all okay with that? No?
I'm not going to be here, so
All right, moving on to agenda item number 26, reports from staff and council members. Mr. Robertson?
I didn't have anything until just a couple of hours ago, actually. I saw in the newspaper that the state of California did their cap and trade auction, and the results were available. I'm not nearly 100% on how all of this works, but you'll recall at the last meeting, VMOOS had the option to accept credits, air credits, or environmental impact credits. I'm not sure exactly. I will ask our consultant to give a full report at some point as we know a little bit more about it. But through the acceptance of entering into that program, it cost absolutely nothing for the city or for VMOOS. We were able to obtain credits, and then we're required to submit at least 30% into the auction that occurred last week. As a result, those credits sold for $10.09 each, and ultimately we will receive a check to VMOOS in an amount just shy of $77,000 next month. They're quarterly auctions, so you may hear a little bit more about this, and as I said, as we know a little bit better how this is going to work out, I'll have our consultant give a full report to the council.
All right, Councilmember Kennedy? Nothing. Councilmember Vise?
I just was wondering what was the update on doing the Martin Luther King naming a street you had mentioned earlier, if you want to check into it.
Yeah, with respect to that request that we had received actually from one of the candidates on in the city council election to name the interchange after Martin Luther King Jr., I'm still working on figuring out exactly what Sandbag will allow us to do. Since they've taken over control of the project, I don't know that we have the authority to do that, but I'll be looking into that.
But that's why it hasn't been agendized, because we're waiting on that, huh?
That's part of it. I also have had some communications with Carlos and let him know that my opinion was it was probably best at this point held for the new council. And also with Martin Luther King Day coming up on, I think it's January 21st, might be appropriate to have that discussion about what to do at the meeting closest to that date, which would be January 15th.
Yeah, and just so it's clear on the record, I've also received a request from several veterans groups that we name it after our veterans. So I struggle with, what do we bring before this council if we're even allowed to make that decision, one, but two, ultimately, how do you choose between the two of those? Both of them deserve the name recognition.
Right, and one of the things that I expressed to Carlos was that the naming of the interchange may not carry as much prominence as he's thinking it will. the interchange at Roy Rogers is actually named Goodwill Interchange after Jeff Goodwill, the former mayor who passed. But nobody really knows that because there's not an exit, there's not a sign, there's a plaque, and it's listed in transportation documents under that name. But if you just wanted to name the overpass after Martin Luther King with the intent that it would gain some prominence and be an appropriate thing to do, that may not be accomplished simply by naming it after him. So I think it's very healthy public and council discussion to have at some point about what level of prominence are you desiring and what's the best way to do that. I think the council should definitely consider some of the wisdom from Mr. Rothschild from the last meeting about the fact that if you go changing someone's address, it costs them money. And for all good purposes, you may end up causing some harm to somebody. You certainly don't want to do that. So I think it's a very healthy public discussion for the council come January.
That was it.
Well, the only thing I'd like to say is welcome to our two newly elected council members, Mr. Jim Cox and Mr. Gloria Garcia. Just so you are aware, there's a meeting on December 4th where you will be sworn in, so you might want to be back here at that time. But we look forward to working with you and moving the city forward. So with that, I have nothing further. We are adjourned.
Congratulations, bud. Recognized yourself.